You know, fans of conventional genres have it easy when it comes to recommending their favourite games to their peers. Racing games, shooting games, platformers, RPGs, they all fit nicely into a distinct category and can be adequately described without too much effort. You should totally play the new Forza Horizon. It's a cool racing game, it has really good graphics and great handling, and it has a huge map to explore. See how easy that was? But what if your favourite game is Ribbit King? So you kind of play golf, but instead of a golf ball, it's a frog, and you hit the frog with a hammer, and the guy you play as wants to be the best at frog golf to get fuel for his home planet, and hey, wait, where are you going? This is the kind of thing we're talking about today. Games that you may well really enjoy, but will likely find extremely difficult to explain to unfamiliar gamer buddies. Ribbit King isn't on this list, by the way. Think of it as a bonus entry. I'm the often confusing Ashton from Triple Jump, and here are 10 weird video games that are impossible to explain to non-fans. Number 10, Katamari Damacy. Possibly the most notorious of the what the heck is that subgenre of video games, Katamari Damacy is pure, distilled digital madness. The actual actions undertaken in the game are fairly easy to put into words. You roll a ball around, things stick to the ball, and the ball gets bigger. Your uninitiated friends will probably be imagining some kind of snowball-like situation at this point, and be none too impressed. But they won't know what they're missing. In Katamari Damacy, players take on the role of the Prince, a tiny green-clad fellow who looks like he swallowed a Christmas cracker sideways. He is charged by his father, the fabulous and strangely intimidating King of all Cosmos, with recreating the sun, moon, and stars after he accidentally destroyed them while on some kind of intergalactic bender. The prince achieves this unenviable task by rolling around a special, magically sticky ball called a Katamari, picking up everything from fiddler crabs to flatbed trucks, and then launching these amalgamations of compressed matter into space to create new celestial bodies. Our explanation just can't do justice to the sights and sounds of Katamari Damacy though. If you've never rolled up a dung beetle while exploring the suburbs of Japan as a tiny wide-headed space child, you just won't understand. Number 9, Patapon. The next game on our list, 2007 PSP oddity Patapon, can be described as a strategy game, but that really wouldn't be scratching the surface. First of all, the entities that you are controlling are tiny, high-pitched tribespeople who look like stylized walking eyeballs, or perhaps the warlike offspring of the Pokemon Unknown. And secondly, you issue orders and encouragement to them by beating out a snappy rhythm. In the game, players take on the role of the Almighty, a Patapon deity, and must beat the holy drum to energize the Patapon as they travel to Earthend in search of something called It. I really hope it's not the clown, or the little guys are going to be more than just disappointed. In most strategy games, the most important traits for a successful commander to have include quick thinking and forward planning. In Patapon, a successful player will require one thing above all: rhythm. Using the face buttons to beat different drums, the more in tune you are with the rhythm, the more effective the Patapon become, getting worked up into a status known as a fever should consistent timing be maintained, during which they gain major benefits to their offensive and defensive capabilities. Oh, so this is what people mean when they say a song has a killer beat. Number 8, Bugsnax. So, what do you actually do in Bugsnax, you might ask? You search a mysterious island for a missing explorer, is what I'd answer. Then why is it called Bugsnax, might be your next question. Because there are bugs on the island that are also snacks, I would reply. But why are there bugs that are also snacks, you might now ponder. And to that, I would say, what's with all the questions? Just who are you working for, eh? Bugsnax takes place in a world inhabited by the Muppet-like Grumpuses, and, as previously alluded to, concerns a mysterious place called Snacktooth Island, where players are looking for a lost explorer. This explorer had discovered the titular Bugsnax, creatures who are half bug, half snack. and as the unnamed protagonist finds clues as to the whereabouts of the explorer, they will be encouraged to capture a whole menagerie of these weirdly edible creatures. The premise is bonkers enough, but in spite of its bright and kid-friendly exterior, Bugsnax also manages to take a dark twist. We won't go into it too much, in case you wanted to dig around on Snacktooth Island yourself, but I'll just say this: eating too many of these calorific creepy crawlies will give you something a bit more severe than a tummy bug. Number 7. Elebits. Elebits, known in PAL regions as LEDs, is described as a first-person shooter, but Unreal Tournament this ain't. If anything, it's more of a where's my stuff simulator, as it will have you turning over every knick-knack and opening every drawer in the house like it's 11 PM on Christmas Eve and you can't find the sellotape. Unlike those of you with last-minute wrapping woes, Kai, the protagonist of Elebits, gets to use an electric beam-emitting capture gun to interact with the game world. He is searching for the titular Elebits because the little guys supply electricity for the world's appliances, and they've all got the willies after a thunderstorm and gone into hiding. The ultimate aim of the game is to explore various interior and exterior environments in search of the Elebits' hiding place, and then put them back to work so we can all watch TV again. I mean, there is a story about a lonely kid seeking his parents' attention in there somewhere, but I've covered the most important stuff. So the next time the power goes out because of inclement weather, remember that it's not necessarily due to a downed line or a power surge. It might just be that tiny electric fairy things have gotten spooked and are hiding under the sofa. Something to think about. Number 6. Rock of Ages. The Super Monkey Ball series is one that could have showed up on this list. I mean, how are you going to explain that to your gran? Saying, it's kind of like rolling a marble around a track, but the marble has a monkey in it, will get you a dubious look at best, and accusations of advocating for animal cruelty at worst. Imagine though if Super Monkey Ball had tower defense mechanics, and the whole thing looks like it takes place inside a Bayer tapestry. That's Rock of Ages for you. The gran confusing rock roller published by Atlas in 2011. Taking place on a series of battlefields, players alternate between placing catapults and the like from a strategic top-down viewpoint to directly controlling a gigantic rock with a facial expression that can best be described as pensive yet vacant, dashing the defenders' structures to pieces and squashing their troops like chaperon-wearing ants. As the game progresses through the ages of civilization, different historical figures crop up to engage in rock-based warfare, including Charlemagne, Vlad the Impaler, and Napoleon. No matter how historically significant they are though, in Rock of Ages, their reigns are destined to end with a quick and unceremonious splat. Number 5. Doki Doki Literature Club. One of the ways a game might be difficult to articulate is by appearing to be one thing and gradually revealing itself to be something else, meaning fans are loath to explain it, as to explain it beyond the very basics would be to spoil its very essence. Doki Doki Literature Club is one such game. No doubt it caused many a funny look to have been received around office water coolers, as enthusiastic fans pleaded with colleagues to try out the cutesy anime high school dating sim, while simultaneously refusing to tell them why. But the sad fact is, if you want to get someone to play Doki Doki Literature Club who isn't already nose deep into the visual novel niche, then you kind of have to completely spoil it. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. What starts off as a light-hearted dating sim with jaunty music and cute character art quickly descends into disturbing fourth-wall-breaking psychological horror, during which one of the game's characters will seemingly tamper with the game's files, deleting other characters from the game. It's unsettling, disturbing, and more than a little grotesque. In fact, maybe Water Cooler Guy did deserve those funny looks after all. I never trusted him. Number 4. Inscription. Another game in the to describe it is to ruin it classification, Daniel Mullins Games' Inscription initially appears to be one of those roguelike deck-building games that are 10 a penny on Steam nowadays. To be fair, things are a little unusual from the get-go. There's something about a social media personality who finds a mysterious video game in the woods, and upon entering the game, you're treated to some unsettling imagery straight away, with your opponent's eyes shining out of a stifling darkness. But it's still a deck builder, just with some spooky elements, right? Wrong. Before long, the situation spirals as cards start talking to you, footage showing this lucky carder fellow searching the woods for buried floppy disks starts to play, and things begin to feel more dangerous as the fourth wall comes under attack. Not content with just mixing up the deck building template in new and upsetting ways, Inscryption also got into the ARG genre. That's alternate reality game to you and me, in which avid mystery solvers received real-life floppy disks in the real-life mail, giving clues on how to crack a code and find out what was really going on in this creepy world full of cards and scribes. It's all a bit scary for me though. Can we just play Snap instead? Number 3, The Eternal Cylinder. Ace Teams' The Eternal Cylinder is, at its core, an open-world survival game. But there are a few complications, shall we say, that make that description feel a little bit inadequate. One of these complications is the fact that you play as a small creature who looks like a bipedal haggis with a trunk who evolves by collecting animal parts. And another is the fact that you are under constant threat from the titular infinitely long cylinder with which you can eventually communicate telepathically. Yes, we've seen countless open-world survival games before, and we've even seen quite a few games with weird evolving creatures too. But as far as we're aware, The Eternal Cylinder is the only game in which everything is under constant immediate threat from reality's scariest rolling pin. The basic goal of the game is to avoid the predators and other nefarious entities of the land while activating towers to slow the cylinder's advance. But things take an even stranger turn when the critter protagonist and its trunky friends enter the cylinder's mindscape, communicate with the cylinder, and gradually uncover its cylindrical secrets. Look, I know it all sounds and looks very bizarre, but just try to roll with it, okay? Oh, actually, wait, that's probably a bad idea. Number 2, Seaman. This game is not about the adventures of a strapping sailor, nor is it about the storied career of an ex-England goalkeeper. And no, it is definitely not about that either. And get your mind out of the gutter, please. Seaman, originally released in 1999 for the Sega Dreamcast, is a virtual pet game, and believe me, I'd love to just leave it at that. If I had to describe Seaman, I'd say, imagine a Tamagotchi, but it's a fish with a man's face who constantly lectures you on subjects like the concept of existence. There's nothing quite like listening to the aquatic fellow's strangely flat voice acting, accompanied by constant splashing noises while it opines on the high price of movie tickets.
So you don't like to deal with the crowds or the high price of movie tickets?
It's like living with the world's most boring philosopher, and he spends all of his time in the bath. The only real goal of the game is to keep the seaman alive, so dedicated players must check on their seaman every day to avoid him going belly up. Your reward for this dedication? Listening to it bang on about parental relationships, professional sports, and how we humans take our modern amenities for granted. Ugh, can I please stop listening to the preachy fish now? And number 1, Millennia Altered Destinies. Right, I'm going to try and explain the concept of Millennia Altered Destinies in as brief and succinct a manner as I can. Basically, you take on the role of a human freighter captain who is transported to an alien ship where an alien known as a Hood tasks you with saving the Echelon Galaxy from another alien threat known as the Microids. On board so far? Good. The thing is, this isn't your average space-based shoot-'em-up, as the war is already long since lost. The solution is complex. Travel 10,000 years back in time and populate the galaxy with 4 indigenous races. then nurture them into strong spacefaring civilizations that will be advanced enough to fight off the microids when they show up again. To do this, you'll have to intervene in galactic affairs, fend off microid fleets that appear before your civilizations are capable of defending themselves, and fix countless other crises that crop up. There's so much more, like having to fight off previous attempts to alter history by the very aliens that sent you on your mission, as well as getting back to Earth when the whole thing is over. But there's just not enough video left to talk about it all. If only I could alter the course of history so that I had more time.